Good morning, ITSME and Drej. Just a moment ago, I had to take a ride on my great-grandmother to keep myself from having stupid ideas. Because a stupid idea is to take out a loan or a lease or sell half your possessions just to have a motorcycle like this. The Ducati Panigale V4R, the one I already talked about back when it was still a Ducati. Orange on the table and being prepared for races in the Alpe Adriatico. Bike that is being raced on by the Slovenian Marco German. The guy is getting faster with every lap, more and more, because this motorcycle is just as wild as it is mysterious. The thing is, Ducati Toron, they're figuring out this motorcycle on their own because they don't have factory support, they don't get any setups. So they took the P4R straight out of the box and started building a race bike themselves. And the results are getting better and better. I took it for a ride, and you know, it's kind of a mixed feeling. It's like someone is patting you on the back with one hand and slapping you in the face with the other. Simple as that. Because there's really no other way to put it, since the V4R I've also ridden the V4 1100. We did some tests on our channel. It's simply a milder motorcycle because it has a smaller engine displacement. It revs higher. And for sure there are some internal engine components that have been changed. I don't know the details and I don't want to lie to you. Besides, maybe not all of them are public knowledge. Of course not, because Darek didn't do anything to this engine, it's straight from the factory. Either way, the mid-range is much milder. We're not afraid. Honestly, with this motorcycle, even in the middle of a corner, when I gave it gas, it jerked me around less and I was less afraid of it than I am of mine. A 10-year-old motorcycle that has 40 to 50 horsepower less, because this one has about 230 horsepower at the engine. And after the race, it weighs 168 kilograms, so even adding a bit of fuel, it's still around 180 kilograms ready to ride. When I was riding at the beginning, you know, the average revs were 10, 11, 12,000. And listen, that's the thing. This is a V4 1000cc, 12,000 RPM. That's the average rev range. That's just world class, because what happened when I revved it even higher? And it went up to 14, 15, even 16, because at 16.5 it hits the limiter. Andres, what did you do to the tire? It wasn't me, it was the bike. It's just too cold. And this is a compound for warmer conditions. Isn't it? And does... Hi! No, what? Do you have an adapter for the Ducati wheel so you can balance it? Yeah. There you go. Oh, no. Alright, I'll go get the wheel. Darek! And what's on the back of Robin's? Maybe I'll steal it from him. From the old table, I'm looking for the name on the van, the MS bus. Now we'll arrange it, because it's pointless to ride on that one. But you can ride on the second one, even if there are no dots. What lesson do you have? This is the one produced the most. Even at World Championship races, some teams don't change it, because there's no more wear left, really. And is there anything that's not the best about this motorcycle? Yeah, it's almost new, so you know. But if it gives me 2 new ones later, then that's just right. I can give you 2 new front ones. And everyone can write comments saying you can't see it in the results, you can't see it in the time. But the best part is, everyone riding on Ducati will do the same. So what? It's still great. The point is to ride to the river. It'll turn into broken versus good. Sick it. Oh man. If I had a real chance, do I actually have a racing bike today? I have two. And here you have a beautiful handcrafted canoe. I will certainly do it myself. This is a very special place specifically designated for all windshield. Also, for the first time in my life, when coming out of the big turn in Poznan, anyone who rides there knows you exit. And there's a chicane going downhill that you just cut through to go left towards Sławinski. So there you come out, keep the throttle open, and shift up 2 gears with the throttle fully pinned. For the first time in my life, I had to ease off the throttle because I was afraid I wouldn't make it onto the track because the MotoGP bike was so slow. It goes fast. It's just incredible. But the suspension, everything, the geometry, it's an incredibly easy motorcycle to ride. That suspension feels like you're floating on a cushion that's both stiff and super precise, yet it soaks up all the bumps. However, I was still riding too slowly for the suspension to fully do its job, because on some bumps I could still feel it kicking up. You just have to ride faster for it to be better compensated. Little touches like the full aquapobic system, which unfortunately means that this motorcycle isn't too welcome at Poznan, especially if you're really opening up the throttle all the way. And the dry clutch, which adds a bit of character, but while riding you don't really feel that it makes a huge difference. Simply put, this motorcycle is very precise. The response to a decisive twist of the throttle is just out of this world. I wish everyone could have the chance to ride this motorcycle at least once in their life. I know that yesterday I was riding a Suzuki and I was saying, wow, this is a great bike, because for that kind of money you just get on and ride, that's it. But if I could, honestly, I'd pay an extra 100,000 just to ride the Panigale V4R, or I'd just buy it, plain and simple. Maybe the V4 1100, put on some fairings and just ride it myself. Or maybe buy some fairings with wings just for show. Right? Number. Yeah, Philip's shaking his head saying, no, you can't do that. Either way, I'd really love to have that motorcycle, whether it's the R version or the 1000T. It's just outstanding. That's just a regular V4 1100. Take a look, Philip, when you stand up and look from the front seat, that one is narrow and this one is so wide. The point is, air has to get everywhere here. There has to be air on the fairings there that will mix and cool things down. That's all there is to it. Darek says that actually when you look at it, it looks like a MotoGP bike. They're also surprisingly wide here. Handlebars, all the bells and whistles, buttons, so I'd love to ride it. For accuracy, 1 minute 40.4 seconds. There, rode the motorcycle again, according to the usual standards. Andrzej, don't break it. In fact, Andrzej, don't break it, minute 40. You can go, the moment Andrzej, when you break it, it stops. There is no limit here. And for the riders, this is really the bike. As the guys say, this season and the next one will be my season. And they'll break different things. I know that new suspensions are already on the way to keep experimenting with the geometry, so I think the V4 and also a bit of the Valfadi have a chance for something better. I hope so, because it would be colorful, it would be like that. Such a beautiful motorcycle. It's good that I took a ride, my riding, you know, and a bit, but I still want to ride this motorcycle somewhere I can really open up the throttle and no one will complain about the noise, because we love speed day, but unfortunately people in the area don't love it when they exhaust. I want to ride that the traction control works as if it wasn't working. I mean, I never once felt like anything was cutting me off. I just felt sudden, brutal acceleration, and it was funny how this motorcycle coming out of that's what I felt. How the front end keeps lifting, whether it's second or third gear, the front just comes up. Wheelie control, it's a bit too aggressive for me, but I noticed that racers ride in such a way that they keep their foot on the brake, and then when the bike starts to lift, they control it themselves with the brake so it comes back down. It's all about playing with it, but it's wild, oh Jesus. Wild. Don't worry about the fact that in the video you can often see the bikes moving like this. All new motorcycles, especially those with such brutal power, have very small frames, very flexible frames. Remember, like in that video we showed the first time just how unloaded and flexible that frame is. He said that with this motorcycle, when you go into a turn, and I did this a few times because you know you really have to push it to lean it even harder, you could suddenly just feel how it would tighten itself up in the corner, and it would grip so well. It was really something, and that's exactly what those flexible frames and all that are for, to make the motorcycle turn so willingly. And the fact that sometimes those 230 horses kicking at the rear make it start to slide in, well, that's just how it is. I think that's cool. A little scary, a little cool. Derek says he'll still let me take it for a ride. That makes me happy. Although the clock is ticking, because after 3,000 kilometers this motorcycle will need an engine inspection, which probably means replacing the bearings, checking a bunch of things. 3,000 kilometers. One of my biggest dreams is to have a motorcycle like this, even just once, in the sense that I know, for example, that I won't fall over. Because a few times I brake, though, I haven't talked about the brakes yet. But you can only say superlatives about them, because these are the new Brembo Stylemas with racing fluid and pads. So here, there's no lack of power or precision. But a few times when I was approaching a tight corner, I downshifted with a quick shifter, downshifted bam bam, and I just barely touched the rear brake, and the bike immediately wanted to slide sideways into the turn. When I think about it, if only you could try, like on a supermoto, just go all in, just stick it in like that. Then the frame would really do its job. And it would just, oh! And throttle, oh wow. I like to title this episode Cop with a Kick. If you don't know what I mean, I'll explain it somewhere later. Here's the link to Punish from the Bronx. Basically, if I eat raw bugs and work really hard, maybe one day I'll manage to have a V4R. Cheers!